Welcome to another episode of Not Your Average Lives. And today it's just me talking and sharing my thoughts. The subject I want to talk about today is a recent shift that I've taken after learning more about the meaning of the word want. Although it's kind of an insignificant shift of two words, it's made me very, very conscious of the choice of my words and the state that I'm operating in. But it was so funny because I was going to record this episode a couple of days ago and it was like the last thing on my list. And so it kept getting shoved to the next day. And yesterday I was like, okay, I'm going to record it. And then I thought, no, I don't want to publish an episode on a Friday. I'm going to do it on a Saturday. So I am publishing this as soon as I record it. So this is me from this morning if you're listening to it on Saturday, October 24th. And I thought, and this came to me yesterday, today, October 24th, is a very big day in my life. October 24th has had two really significant meanings. The first was when I decided 14 years ago today to meet my ex-boyfriend from 27 years prior for lunch. And that decision and operating from a state that was, I'm going for it. I'm not going to settle anymore. And I'm going to investigate what my life could be because this person that I dated years and years ago still was operating in my subconscious. So that was one thing. And now I'm married to him today. We've been married 11 years. Our complete story is in episode 29. I go into sordid detail. So you can hear about that. Go back to my episode. It's titled A Second Chance at Love, 27 years later, I think is the title. But the other significant change was a year ago today, where I made the conscious decision to leave my corporate job for good and step into my true purpose. So two super big decisions. And I will tell you that last year, when I was contemplating, it was the first day of a 4-day business conference retreat that I go to. And when it came up, and these things come up, so you start paying attention to them. And it came up in my thought. It was like a nudge from the universe that I've really become tuned into. And initially, I didn't realize the significance of the date. But then I was talking to some of my friends at this conference. It came up that, oh my gosh, OMG, 14 years ago, I made a decision that changed the trajectory of my life, changed everything for me. And here today, I got this nudge from the universe to make this really scary decision to leave this secure job that has 6 figures. I get health benefits, and it's my comfort zone. It's what I've done for years and years and years. But I was so drained of happiness, and drudgery filled my days. Sunday nights were the worst, and I just did not like my job, and I hated going to it. And is that the way you really want to live your life? So I took a step and operated from a state of belief that, okay, the universe is nudging me, and if I don't do it, I'm denying my purpose, right? And what does that say about my belief in my purpose? So it was like this double-edged sword where damned if you do and damned if you don't, right? It's like my brain, my logical brain was like, no, 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 it's bad. No, you're safe in the box. You don't know. What about health insurance? What about this? What about that? But yet I knew that if I really believed that going after your true purpose and the universe would take care of the how, if I really believe that, I needed to be the example and the role model and step into that. And so I had to have faith, and I had to operate from the state of the desire. and going after that which I desired. So if I stay in the state of not having, then will I ever have? So stepping into the state of it is done, even though if all the pieces weren't in place yet, a lot of the pieces were. And honestly, I knew I had the knowledge and the skills and the desire. So I knew that it would all work out. I really needed to put faith by the doing and step into that. So I wanted to give you that background because it plays into the subject of today. And the subject of today is to stop using the word want and replace it with desire. And it's funny how often we use the word want. I want this. I want that. We don't use the word desire. But I do look at my work and I see where I use desire a lot more than I used to. It just kind of comes naturally. I even in my affirmations use the word desire. What I desire is destined for me. What I learned is that want, and if you read the definition of want, which I will give to you in a second, the definition of want is all about lack and not having it. And if you think about the word want, it's you're in a state of not having. So I really want you to understand the state, the being state. It's not so much the word want, it's the word puts you in the state. And it's how we behave. Words make us behave in a certain way. Words are our language that result in behaviors. So if you are always wanting, then you're telling the universe you don't have it. And what happens when you tell the universe you don't have it is you get more of the same. And if you've listened to me before, you know that in any of my training that is around this subject, I say that what you put out in the universe, you attract. And you create your circumstances with your thoughts. And so if you're in circumstances where you're always feeling like you don't have and you want, but you don't have, you're operating from a state of lack. When you use the word desire instead of want, desire is about a wish. It's not about a not have. And so it's see what I mean by it's super insignificant. It's a little teeny. You think desire is like wanting, but if you read the definition, it is very different. And desire has a sense of faith around it too. But an example that I read, which was so interesting, was I want a cookie, was the example used. I want a cookie. You're in a state of lack. You don't have a cookie, you want a cookie. But there's a cookie in your pantry. So, or there's a cookie at the corner grocery store. So, getting to the having state isn't hard, right? So, I want a cookie. You can go from lack and wanting to having and experiencing that which you don't have very easily. It's a small, small thing that you want. But when the wanting gets big, like a dream that you want to achieve and you haven't gotten there yet, that wanting state, you can't get to that experiencing and having state very easily. So what do? Most people stay in the lack state. And I don't have it, and I need all these things before I can get it. But if you step into that state in which I desire and I know it will come, it's just a matter of time, it's a whole different state. It's a state of faith, it's a state of belief, and it's a state of abundance versus lack when you use desire versus want. So let me read the definitions because it'll get a little bit clearer probably. So the dictionary defines the word want as follows, quote, to be without, lack, to be destitute or needy, a defect of character, a fault, to be absent, to be deficient or lacking, to fail, not to be sufficient, to fall or come short, to lack, end quote. So if you look at that definition, when you are using the word want, and when you're thinking, I want that, I want that, I want that, you are being needy. You are in a lack state. Your mind is all around lacking and being deficient and falling short. And is that really where you want your mind to be? No. So wanting communicates to you and the universe that you don't have something. The other really kind of mind-blowing point about wanting is that it's a perpetual state. When you're in a wanting state, there's no finality. It's so much of our life is about who we are being, what we are operating from. You know, I have this quiz this midlife fulfillment quiz, and that's one of the things in my last workshop that I had people take before they started the workshop on day one. And it's like, what role are you operating from? Are you operating as a scared settler, settling for what you don't want? Are you a busy doer, just being so busy your head never comes up from the sand? Are you an organized planner? You're so busy planning, but you're not doing with intention. You know, there's these different roles. Are you a distracted dreamer where all you're doing is dreaming, but you're not executing on your dreams? So that's all about a state of being and wanting what you don't have. The busy doers want to be less busy. The distracted dreamers want their dreams to come true. The scared settlers, they're just not doing anything. They're just settling. But it's a state that they're operating from, and you're not going to get out of that state until you start operating from a different state. So people, a lot of times, they want what they don't have yet, but they're not operating in the role that will bring them that. And so this is so much around that, and I thought it was so appropriate and so important to have a discussion around it. So wanting is this perpetual state, and you're never going to be in the having state until you start operating from a different state. So we use these small things. It's like, I want a cookie. Okay, I'll get a cookie, and you get a cookie. So it's very easy. But what about those big things? Are you operating from the state of always wanting and never getting? But that's the reason, because you're not sitting in the it is done, it's just a matter of time. You're not operating from that state of faith. And that's what desire and replacing that word of want with desire will do for you. So let me tell you what the desire definition is. Pay attention. When I read this definition, none of the negative definitions that fell into the definition of want will be found in the definition of desire. So here's how the dictionary defines desire. Quote, to express a wish for, request, the natural longing that is excited by the enjoyment or the thought of any good and impels to action or effort, to continuance or possession, an eager wish to obtain or enjoy, end quote. So it's all around an opportunity, a wish, a request to the universe, all positive thinking. What desire also has is not a need for a particular result in the moment of now. And what the main difference between desire and want is that desire has detachment associated with it. It's just a wish you put out there, whereas want has this attachment that you are needy, whereas desire has this detachment that it's just this happy wish. And the other point that I want to make is that you'll have more progress the more detached you are at the present moment. So it means you accept where you are and you don't fight it, you don't get frustrated, you don't lose hope, and you have this sense of certainty that will happen, this desire, and you know that it'll happen at some point. If I'm using my two examples from the past that I started with in the beginning, is that I desired those things. I did want them. I did want them, but I stepped into kind of a state of action. So it was more of a desire because it was a wish, and I believed. I believed. I stepped into the belief that it would happen, and then I made it happen. I walked forward to that lunch 14 years ago with a desire. With a desire. I didn't come needy. I came actually with a desire to close that door because it was a door that was left ajar from 27 years ago. So I went with this desire to just have a clear mind as I was going forward in the future. And then what happened is this beautiful love story reopened and continued. So I did not sit in a state of neediness. I did not stay in a state of lack. I said, okay, I desire it. What can I do? So there's positivity, there's a sense of freedom, and I didn't go in with any attachment. I didn't go in with any attachment of expectations for the result. I went in with complete detachment in the outcome. The only thing that I desired was just this meeting, to have the meeting, to have this conversation, and that was going to happen regardless, right? Unless he was a no-show, and then that wouldn't have happened. So I went in that with quite a detachment. And then when I decided to quit my corporate job, I just had to be detached from the outcome of any expectation. The only thing that I desired was to live my true purpose. And I knew that was going to happen regardless, because by quitting my corporate job, I was going to live my true purpose. I detached from any sense of, needing health insurance, needing an income at a certain level. I just went in with complete and utter conviction that it would work itself out, that the universe, if I was doing what I promised to do when I came to Earth, the universe would take care of me. I didn't do anything stupid, right? I didn't like risk losing our home. I didn't risk that. I had savings. I knew that I was going to be okay. But I also knew that what I had promised to do when I started this gig on the side, I knew that I would go faster if I quit my corporate job. I knew that if I didn't quit my corporate job, my I'd have a weight on my leg dragging me into my future. And I didn't want that. I wanted to be able to execute quickly. And I knew I had proof because I'd been working on it for close to a year. And so I had proof. It wasn't like I didn't have proof. So I'd been doing that on the side for a while. I had proof. So before I stepped in to doing it full time and taking that risk and trusting, uh, and stepping into that desire I wanted. And then once, it's seriously, once I made that decision, it was freedom. Freedom. I had no worries, all this worry and fear beforehand. And then it was freedom, absolute freedom, which was such a wonderful feeling. And I knew at my age, the clock is ticking. So if I desire something, I need to step in with full belief and detach from any expectation, and it will work itself out. So you really have to understand the universal laws that are working for you, and have to really understand that where you are right now is because of the state that you're operating from. the best thing that I can suggest for you is if you are living right now with a bunch of wants and really feeling the sense of lack, I would just want you to be aware of how many times your brain goes to, I want that, I don't have that. Or I want that, I can't ever have that. I'll never have that because this is my reality. Well, you create your reality. So start to operate from a sense of wishing and dreaming and believing that that is possible, and start to listen to those nudges from the universe and stop being so scared, because you wouldn't have those nudges from the universe if you weren't meant to act on them. The fact that you're thinking them means it's a little nudge. It's a nudge. It's a hint. And so don't be afraid, but just understand that wanting is not going to get you where you want to go. So stop saying wanting and start replacing wanting with desire, and just be more conscious of it, because now you're going to start to, after listening to this, you're going to start to hear yourself. You're going to say, oh, I said want, I said want. But when you replace desire, remember the most important thing is the state you're operating from. So stop being attached to any kind of sense of wanting to get that, and start being detached and having a conviction that it's possible. So want equals lack, desire equals abundance. We must live in an abundant state. We must live and operate from abundance and gratitude. And when you live from that state, and you live from the state of contentment, and you start sending all these positive vibrations to the universe, and the universe will reward you. It's funny because I was thinking about, when I was talking about knowing I was going to talk about this, and I thought one of the things that I've always found at first confusing, because I listened to my logic brain and I didn't operate from a place of, I didn't even know about lack versus abundance or gratitude. I didn't practice gratitude consistently till a couple of years ago. I didn't know anything about the universal laws. I learned about the law of attraction, which is one of the 12, in like 2006 because of The Secret. But I didn't operate from that place. I believed in it. I believed in manifestation, that kind of thing, but it was very surface level. But I've always had what some would say luck. I didn't graduate from college, but I was able to get jobs. I was able, without a college degree, I was able to get promotions very easily. I excelled at work. I was a high achiever. I got lots of recognition. And I think about that and I think, I never really, it was never really hard for me, but yet I didn't know about all these universal kind of tricks to make things easier. And I was still operating, I felt, from a place of not aligned, not misaligned with what I was meant to do. But what I did have was, which I believe was a gift from my mother, and potentially a gift, I guess, from the universe, that I was born with, and my environment supported it, is I was born and had an environment in which it was very positive. It was very positive. It was, and people will understand that, you talk about the glass is half full, make lemonade out of lemons. My mother was very much like that. She used to say, oh, I'm a Pollyanna. And I never knew what Pollyanna was until I saw that Haley Mills movie, where she's like, always everything positive was going to come out of a situation. And so I think because of putting out positive energy in the universe, I attracted positive energy back. I attracted positive things. So the way I walked and operated in the world was from this great energy place. That was just kind of who I was. And I'm fortunate that I didn't have an environment or a mother that stamped that down like some people. So, but know that that's within you. And if you learn what the universal laws are and you learn how to operate from them, you can have whatever you desire. But you have to operate from this place of abundance and detachment. And that is the big trick. So I think I had this positive just knack that got me through that misalignment, maybe kept me in misalignment a little longer, because I think sometimes when you're not happy, you're like, you realize it sooner. It's like, what am I doing wrong? Let me fix it. So maybe if I wasn't so positive, I would have figured it out sooner. But here I am, and I know now, I'm guessing that this positive energy, now that I know what energy does and how negative energy can like really bring you bad stuff if you put that negative energy out, because the negative energy is going to come right back. It's like a boomerang. What you put out comes right back to you. So I hope this has helped and you understand now that that want word is very powerful. So I desire you to really start to just be aware of the use of it and the state in which you're operating from when you're using it. So as soon as you hear that word, remember, operate from a state of abundance and belief that what you desire will be yours. It's just a matter of time, and don't worry about the how. Hope this has helped you. Hope it made sense. I know it's kind of crazy. It's kind of this like weird little woo-woo stuff, but I love it. And I've learned so much. And what I learn, I just am eager to share. So till next time. Thank you so much for tuning into the Not Your Average Lives podcast. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe on iTunes if you have an Apple device. You can find free resources and learn what else I have going on at the moment that might interest you on my website at notyouraverage.grandma.com. You can also find me on Instagram or Facebook at Not Your Average Grandma. If you liked this episode, it would make my heart so happy if you could leave me a 5-star rating. You can also add a review to let me know what you like about this podcast, which will help spread the word about it to others who need a little midlife inspiration. As always, be you, listen to your inner voice, and focus on reigniting that lost spark so you can start living your own, not your average life.